This is Lippy Chalista Podcast, Living with Lipedema. Here's your host, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah, host of Lippy Chalista. And in this episode, I can't talk. In this episode, we have my sweet friend and Lippy sister, Angela Gray. And we're here to talk about diagnosis, disappointments, and depression. Hey, Angela.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
I'm so excited. My first podcast.
Are you surviving this heat?
Very hot down here in the South, I will tell you that.
It is very hot. It is. So let's dive into this diagnosis, disappointments, and depression. Talk to us about how you first discovered that you had lipedema.
So, I have battled, weight issues since I know I was a teen and everything. And I've tried pretty much anything you can think of. And I was at my doctor's appointment and I was asking him, can you help me figure out why I cannot lose weight? Like I've tried everything, intermittent fasting, and it just wasn't doing what it needed to do. And, I was basically in there just crying, will you please help me figure out what blood work do we need to do or whatever? And he was just like, more diet, more exercise, cut back and increase this and everything. So the same thing, we've heard a million times over. And I was talking to my daughter-in-law about it. And she said, I think you have lipedema. I've seen a TikTok about it. And I was like, no, I don't have that. Like, I don't have the weeping and everything. And she was like, no. And she sent me the TikTok video because I was, like many others, confusing lipedema with lymphedema because they're so similar in the way they sound. So she sent me the video and I was like, oh my gosh, that's me, every the legs, the arms, all of that. So that night I got zero sleep. All I was doing was researching, and every picture I looked at, I was like, oh my God, this is me. And, scrolling and reading. And then, it's like, oh my gosh, I really think this is it. This is what is wrong with me. And I could not wait for 8 o'clock to get here so I could start making phone calls. Like I had looked up, my, doctors, trying to find, some doctor to help me. My doctor, when I called them, they didn't know anything about it. So I started calling all the plastic surgeons because it says it was a surgery thing. And every one of the plastic surgeons in my area said, nope, we don't touch it. So, I asked my doctor, could they recommend somebody? And they didn't even know what to do or say or anything like that. So I got on the internet and started, finding more. I found, lipedema.org and all of those, and just trying to find somebody to help me confirm that's what I have, because it was like a moment that I'm not crazy. I know that it wasn't like I was doing everything right, but it just wasn't coming off. Everything out there, I knew what to do, and that's what I was doing. So I ended up finding a place in Huntsville, Alabama that was 6 hours away. That was the only place I could contact that would just they couldn't diagnose, but they could confirm, and if that's what it was. So I started going to that place up there, and they did confirm 1,000,000% that is what I had. And they started the journey of, getting a compression pump or doing the things I needed to do. Now I know what it was, but they couldn't recommend, a doctor or a surgeon or anything like that. For one thing, we don't have a lipedema doctor in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
So, you have, other doctors for specialties, for your heart and all the other parts of your body, but we don't have one for this. So who are you supposed to go to? So I did more research, and in the neighboring state, they had 2 doctors there, surgeons. And I made an appointment that we were going to drive and go visit those 2 doctors to see if I could get an official diagnosis. and, what our options were, on that. Because at this point, I was 48 years old, just now finding out about this. And, it's just like crazy. So I went and visited. I was able to make the doctor's appointments on the same day. So I only had to travel that
Nice.
once. I had one in the morning and one in the afternoon because they were like an hour apart. So I went to the first one and, another 1,000,000%, that is exactly what you have, and confirmed that I have all lipedema. And thankfully, I don't have any lymphedema, which usually that comes along with it. So it's just like I'm ate up with it. They're like, I have over 70 liters of the lipedema disease tissue in my body. And, it was just disheartening hearing that you have that much, but it basically has run rapid, all over. I had it in, my legs, my abdomen, my arms, and, upper torso and everything. The only place I didn't have it was my hands, feet, my chest, and the upper back, and, my head. So everywhere else has it.
Everywhere else. Yeah. How did go ahead?
So, that surgeon said, yeah, you're a perfect candidate. Insurance needs to pay for this. And we got a surgery plan in place. And they said that they would be the answer to my prayers and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it was kind of like I had hope at that moment. And, we were going to hit the ground running and do all the things we needed to do. And then that afternoon, the other doctor I visited also confirmed the exact same thing. And their practice were completely different. So one could do all of it with skin removal and that sort of thing, and the other one could only do the lipedema removal. And it was going to take many, many, many more surgeries than what the first one was. So we were like, oh, well, that's just not a fit for me. Fit for other people. And you have to feel comfortable with who you're going to go to. And I just didn't feel that my body would be able to handle 15 plus surgeries in just, the legs, not even addressing the other areas too. So we didn't even go down the avenue after that because I just don't know how. That's a lot of trauma on your body.
Yeah.
And especially having to travel. It's not like it's, 10 minutes from my house or anything. We're talking about 7 hours plus and then having to travel home.
So I'm going to back up just a minute because I knew you were excited when you heard that you were diagnosed with lipedema. So talk to me about how you felt when you finally knew what was going on with your body.
So it was like relief and sadness and just like all the emotions at one time. And, you don't know, like you wanted to cry and you wanted to laugh and you wanted to, just like burst with excitement. Yes, I know. I finally know I'm not crazy. It's not something that I've done to myself,
Right.
And then I was like, all these years I have beat myself up that I wasn't able to lose the weight. It was, I like beat myself up so bad that I was hating myself, like, just putting my own self down because you didn't try hard enough and you gave in that one time. And, like when you did diets, you were like super strict, like counting every little thing out and, weighing, and you got to count the macros and all this other stuff. And it's like a prison being, well, like, I mean, not like you're in a prison, but you're so restricted on everything. It's like you don't have that freedom to just live, to do anything because you're so hard on yourself for not having the success that you see a million other people have, and you're doing the same thing. You're eating the same foods, doing the same thing, and they're losing 30, 50, 100 pounds at it. And you're struggling for 6 months to lose 5 pounds, and in that time frame, your legs continue to get larger. Like, what? This doesn't even make sense,
Yep. It doesn't. When you try every diet on the block and you do, and even when they make you write it down, try all these different things and you're still not losing, they still make you feel like it's your fault.
Exactly. Every nutritionist, dietitian, doctor, and all, you aren't trying hard enough. You must be cheating. You're not complying. It's always you,
Yeah.
instead of finding out, well, why are you not losing? Well, let's see, like, why are you look this proportionate?
Yeah.
Your legs look like that, but your torso doesn't. Like, something has to give. Like, so none of them asked because they were always trained calories in, calories out. That's how you lose weight, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's all they know is what they were trained instead of thinking outside the box of, okay, so why isn't this equation working here?
Yeah.
Not one single doctor in my entire life ever said, well, why isn't this working?
Yeah.
So
I had one doctor one time after, because blood work was always perfect, and he made me write a journal diary of what I was eating and all the things. I did everything he told me. And he finally, because he was pretty hard on me about cheating, and he finally goes, I'm just going to chalk it up to some people are just made to be this way. And I'm like, no. And going back to talking about being in prison, like I don't take that lightly, because I know a lot of people have been in prison. I've known people that have been in prison, and I know that I don't take this lightly in comparison, but having lipedema is like being a prisoner in your own body.
exactly.
Because
It is in every aspect. So, and not only that, like in our own heads, because society has built like you're supposed to be this way.
yeah,
And if you're not this way, you're hard on yourself trying to get this way. So we've done a lot of it, to ourselves too, by listening to all the noise from the world.
yeah.
So it's
I
just
know you've tried lots of diets and different things, like many people out there are, and I'm hoping people hear this that don't even know about lipedema yet, but they are going to resonate with, well, I've tried every diet. I've tried all the exercise. I've tried all this. We're doing these podcasts to reach those people that don't know, in hopes that they will figure it out and get the help they need. So once you found out, what are some things that you've tried to help? I know that surgery is basically the only way to get rid of it out of your body, but what are some things you've tried, like vibration plate, compression garments, any of those things?
So yeah, I do have the vibration plate. And I think it works better for someone that has more lymphedema also to kind of move the fluid. So I don't feel that I personally get the results like a lot of others would get by using those devices and that sort of thing. And I've tried, the MLD, and my wonderful husband helps me with that a lot. But a lot of the MLD is like this little soft touch, just trying to move the skin. And I really want them to get in there and just move all that stuff around,
Yeah.
because that's what tends to give me relief. It's hard for finding compression garments because of my size and the severity of my lipedema in my legs. I can't really get anything off the shelf or order online to work with that actually works properly. Because my legs is like the Allen and Hines version where it's more of the cone shape. So to get it to fit at the top, it's too loose at the bottom. And I've even had custom compressions made and they just fall right down because it's the shape of my legs. A lot of lipedema ladies have the column style. I forgot there's two different styles of it, but it's both lipedema. So one is more like a tree trunk, solid, top to bottom. And then you have the more cone shape, which I know that's Allen and Hines, and it's easy for me to remember because my son's name is Alan.
Yeah.
So finding things that have that shape to stay up and offer the compression at the bottom is like next to near impossible. I've had custom reduction kits made, and I will start walking and they would fall down like 5 steps in. Same thing with short stretch wraps, which again, I don't have lymphedema, so it really wasn't doing what it's meant to do because it wasn't that fluid. I mean, this is just like solid lipedema nodules that I have that, I have the compression pump and everything. And it's just like everybody talks about the relief they have after. And I'm like, well, I don't have that like everybody else does, but it's more than likely because, knock on wood, I don't have the lymphedema. And I hope I never get it. It's pretty much standard. Most of them do get it, especially at the late stage that I am. So I'm very thankful I don't have that yet. And I pray I don't get it.
Yeah. And I don't want anybody to think not every lipedema patient is a one size fits all.
Right.
We may all have lipedema, but many of us have other things that go along with it, or ours may be a little different than somebody else. And what works for one may not work for another. And it's okay. So try things to see what works for you, because what works really, really good for me may not work for you, or vice versa, right?
And also, in conjunction with a lipedema, a lot of ladies have Ehlers-Danlos or Derkham's disease and that sort of thing. And although I've not been diagnosed with Derkham's, I really fully believe that I have it with those harder nodules, especially like in my arms and everything. Because I can wake up in pain. Like I haven't even put my feet on the floor and I'm already in pain, hurting, because I just feel like those nodules have rested on nerves and that sort of thing in my legs. And, they're all, kind of hanging over things that are not meant to be, that sort of thing. So even with all the attempts of the diets, I mean, pretty much everything imaginable out there, miracle pills, ML, with the multi-level marketing type, fads and that sort of thing. And I even had, gastric bypass, and I only lost in my torso, and I noticed that my legs continued to get larger. So, not necessarily weight loss surgery is going to fix any of that, because the lipedema just has a mind of its own and it just does what it wants to do,
Right. And I just want to disclose this. We are not giving medical advice in any capacity, but we just share our stories on here. And this is Angela's story and what she's gone through. So unpack a little bit, because I know for a lot of people, we talk to a lot of women that have lipedema, and surgery is like what everybody wants to go to, because it's like, oh, you think it's going to be a quick fix. And it's not a quick fix. But I know a little bit about your story, but talk to other people who don't know your story about trying to get surgery, because I would like to bring awareness to doctors, insurance, all the things that are involved, because it's not cut and dry for everybody.
No. And a lot of the insurance companies are not so easy to like, oh yeah, we'll cover that, So after we got the surgery plan in place, that's when that journey started, is having to gather up all the information I needed to submit to our insurance company. And, you have to document all the stuff that you've done and all these doctors you went to and therapy and all of that. And so you submit this packet that's like this big. And the day they got it, they denied it. It's like they opened it up and it looked at lipedema, closed it, and said denied. And that's just like so discouraging. You're like, this is my life. I need it. My doctor said I need this, So that's when the fight begins, because then you have to appeal it. So then you got to send more stuff in there, and for them, and you're calling them every day because they're not in a hurry to do anything. So you fight them and you fight them and you get denial, and then you're just losing hope and you get discouraged and that sort of thing. So When I started that journey, I had multiple denials. You have to wait for the letter to come in before you can do anything. It's not that you found out on the phone that they denied it. They make you wait for snail mail to get the letter in your hand before they would do anything. So that's just like adding more to the stress of it. So finally, when I got the approval, which was, basically begging them with my life, I finally got approval. And I was like, hallelujah, my new life, I've got a second chance at life, because my mobility is in the toilet right now. And it just increases to, well, it steadily declines and, all these other things. So when I was approved for surgery, I got a surgery date and I was like on cloud nine. We had went on vacation. It was like a celebration. And I was just like on cloud nine that I'm finally going to have a smaller body. I'm not going to have pain. And I'm just going to be like, finally. And so we got the surgery date. So we started modifying things in our home for recovery. So we knew that we were going to have to, elevate my legs and stuff. So we went and got a bed with the, in debt and got the bed that the feet would elevate so that I could recover. My husband modified our bathroom and took out our tub and put in a walk-in shower so that, I wouldn't have to struggle getting in and just all of those things. We did all of it. We did everything we were supposed to do. And as a business owner, I had to make sure that my business was taken care of during my downtime. And we had everybody trained and everything was in place, So, you have to buy the vitamins and that sort of thing and start taking them beforehand. And I even went and got black towels so that when I took them to the hotel and I had to, get cleaned up from the blood drainage and everything, that they wouldn't freak out and see this massacre on their towels. Like, I thought of all of that stuff. So, and I was about packed and ready. Like, I just like, this was my new leaf on life, So, that was, it was a high,
Yeah.
So, we go to the surgeon for, my pre-op, which the pre-op was like 2 weeks before surgery. And when the surgeon walked in, the look on his face was like, oh crap, I forgot about her. I just seen it. Like, I even told Robert, I seen it just drain from his face and everything changed just like that. So, they were no longer comfortable basically doing surgery on me, because such the severity of the lipedema that I have. I do have a high BMI because of my size and everything. And it's not because I haven't tried everything. I have. Like, I'm the most strict dieter, professional dieter in the world. Most lipedema women are. And, I wish they would get rid of BMI completely because it's nonsense. But they base it on everything, and it is a super high BMI, like way high. But all of that should have been discussed in the beginning before all of this happened, So they were no longer comfortable with it, and then gave me all these things like they were going to kill me and my legs were going to rot off and just going through all these things. And I was like, okay, well, we'll do whatever we need to take. And, I'm this close, like it's right there. You're supposed to do this, And they made me sign the paper that, basically if they kill me, we can't sue them, And so I signed it and then sent me over to the hospital to do all of my pre-op labs, done all of that, got clearance from everything, even got the little sucky thing that for your lungs for recovery. They sent me home with that. And then we were set. And it was emotional. Even going home, you start thinking about all the things they said. And, me and Robert was talking about, man, I didn't realize all this stuff. I didn't realize that all these risks and stuff. And it's a higher risk for people with a later stage than it is someone with a new stage or stage 1 or even stage 2. When you get to stage 3 plus, some have stage 4. I really don't know what it is anymore. It's just like way up there.
Yeah.
And the risks are greater. But I wished I would have known that in the beginning, before we even started the fight, because the fight with insurance was an emotional roller coaster all in itself. So we made it home and I made the decision, we're going to do it. This is my opportunity. I wouldn't have got approved if it wasn't meant to be, and that sort of thing. And then 9 a.m. the very next morning, he called me. He's not going to do my surgery. He doesn't feel comfortable doing it. He talked to his peers, and his peers would frown upon him, and he could possibly lose his license or whatever, something. At that point, I kind of was blacked out. I was crying, like not coming out, crying. When you cry that
Ugly
hard,
crying.
you can't breathe because of snot and everything. And I was like, what happened between our consult that you set a surgery plan in this morning? And he had one patient that didn't do well and had an issue and ended up in the hospital longer. And I was like, but that's not me. Did they have any underlying conditions? Did they have all this other stuff? And he wouldn't even, he was done, hung up. He said, he'd rather me hate him. And I do. But, it's just very, very discouraging to get to that point that my life was supposed to change. I was supposed to have a new life. I was not supposed to be living in this prison that I have, and that set me off like into a bad place. Bad.
Well,
and
go ahead. I want you to talk about right there being the hopelessness and depression. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So at that point, I had lost all hope whatsoever. I fell into a deep depression. I had basically just like given up on everything, because I don't understand, like, why could I get that far and not get it, and even I started hating a lot, like someone who got my surgery spot. I don't like them, but they could be the nicest person in the world, but because that was supposed to be me. And then when I see that person have success, I hate them even more, because that was supposed to be me. They had their own time, but that one was mine, and I know that's not right. I mean, it's not their fault at all. Yeah. But that surgeon put that in me because he took that away, and a lot of people was like, well, it wasn't meant to be. And you don't want to hear that because this was the answer to your prayer that you wanted so bad, only not because you want a new car or that you wanted a diamond ring or whatever. It's because it's your life.
Yeah.
They took your life away from you. So, sorry. At that point, the FDR conference was like a couple of months away last year. And I decided, well, before I pursue any other surgeon and go through this, there was going to be several there that I wanted them to put their eyeballs on me and let me know if they would take me as a client, because I don't want to go through all of that over again,
Right.
And although that first surgeon looked at me, but still put me through that, and we went to FDR acid. It was amazing. Just being there and hearing all the different things, and then finding, this sisterhood of people who know what you're going through and all the different stages. And you see these beautiful women from stage 1 to stage 4, or whatever the stages are. And they all just understand, and you just feel like you're enveloped in this love bubble.
Yeah.
So I had talked to these surgeons, and some of them said, no, we wouldn't be a fit. And that's good. I'm glad, be honest with me, and there was one that I had hoped, and said, yeah, email me. We'll do all the things. And then I get home and I'm on a high, like, oh, I found a surgeon, but they're 14 hours away, and we were trying to figure out how could we make this work. Well, to get a consult, you had to pay $500, and it was a year and a half away. A year and a half. Like, a year and a half? Like, why is it so long? And it's because we don't have many surgeons that deal with lipedema. There's like this little bitty pot of them amongst the whole United States. So all of these women are flocking to them. But, for first off, we shouldn't have to pay $500 for a consultation when we have insurance. That's a whole nother ball game. And also, I found out that I would have to fight for a single case agreement because my insurance, my approval that I still have, I got it extended, is useless. And I would have to start this all over again. And it's like, can I not catch a break?
Yep.
And that the depression set in again. And the more I seen, I don't get me wrong, I am super thrilled when somebody gets their surgery, they get relief from this. I'm cheering them on. I think it's amazing that women can find solutions and they find a surgeon that they're comfortable with, and they can start their journey on getting relief, because that's the ultimate goal. It's not necessarily about looking beautiful in a bikini body or anything. We just want the pain gone. And I just sunk into a deep depression because I seen everybody else get what I wanted, and I had it in my hot little hand, and it was just like snatched away. So then it made me hate that surgeon even more because they gave me false hope, and I did fall into a deep, deep depression. I was finding different ways to try to lose weight because the person that was trying to help me get the approval told me, just lose 200 pounds and you can get a surgeon. Like, I've battled trying to lose 200 pounds my entire life. How am I going to lose it like that? To get surgery in just 6 months, like, because my approval ran out in 6 months. Like, how are you going to lose 200 pounds in that amount of time? It's just like asinine to think that's even a possibility. So I was taking Ozempic at one point, and then the insurance quit covering it. And I was finding that I had relief from the pain during that time, but since the insurance wasn't covering because I'm not diabetic, so what I did lose immediately came back on. So I was grasping at trying to find compounded tirzepatide or semaglutide to try to help. Well, I had found some, but in the state of Alabama, they don't want you to have it. And there's one pharmacy that I found that's able to service Alabama. And it's an act of Congress in itself. But before I found that pharmacy, I literally called every compounded pharmacy in the state of Alabama. And all of us says, we don't do that. So I had some shipped to a friend of mine in a state neighboring to overnight it to me for me to start taking it. And I feel bad asking people to help me, with that. It shouldn't be inconvenience to them to have to mail it, But I started taking the compounded semaglutide, and it just wasn't working. I wasn't getting the same as I did with taking the regular Ozempic. And so we kept increasing the dose. And then we tried the tirzepatide, and all that stuff is like $700 a bottle, $800 a bottle. It just starts adding up of all this expense that I was dumping into it. And I wasn't having the results that I was with those Epic. And I just didn't understand why. And then, the other thing is that with that, I noticed that I wasn't able to keep food down because I guess we had such a high dosage, and I started getting super depressed, and I was having the super bad thoughts. And I had it planned out. I was ready to check out because the pain is so bad. It just felt like everything was hopeless, and I would never get help. I would never get that feeling of relief, and it was just nonstop. It was always going to be, present there. And I had it all planned out. And I had to take myself off of the tirzepatide. And I noticed that I started releasing that, and I didn't have those thoughts and feelings anymore. And I was like, well, granted, depression comes along with the lipedema because of the roller coaster that it already gives. And not everybody has that same side effect with any of the semaglutides or tirzepatides or anything like that. It was just with me that was, it wasn't a fit. I don't know if the dosage was too high or what, but when I had it all planned out, how I was going to do it so it was less messy for my husband to have to deal with, something had to change.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean, it'll take you into a dark place sometimes.
Yeah. And it's sad that not all doctors are allowed to do their job and help their patient. Not all doctors know about lipedema. I wish that they would do it in all conferences where all doctors are made aware of this, so that stop getting misdiagnosed as obesity, because it affects 11% of women. That's a lot. It's right up there with breast cancer. Doctors should know about this. And how can they know about it if they're not taught it? So they need to be taught it. That's one thing. And, insurances, doctors, all the things need to know lipedema patients aren't out for cosmetic reasons. Like, we want the pain to stop. We want to be able to walk on our own, take care of ourselves, be independent. It has nothing to do with we want to look like a supermodel.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's long gone.
Yeah. I just want to be able to take care of myself today.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing is that this diagnosis has been around over 70 years. They've known about it, but yet they still just brush through it. And like when the medical professionals are in the schools and that sort of thing, it's just part of obesity, and it's just mentioned. It should be a whole lesson taught on that. And they should also teach the pediatricians and the OBs and stuff like that would catch it early in these girls that are starting to show the signs, so that they don't get a late diagnosis or don't get to the point where I'm at, that is, too far gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to the person who's listening to this who does not have lipedema, that may be exactly where you were before you found out. What would you say to them to give them a little bit of hope?
Well, finding friends that are experiencing the same thing, that can understand and be there for you. There's a lot of groups out there, and insist that your doctor try to find out what's wrong. And we're always, every time we go to a new doctor, we have to take pamphlets from the Lipedema Foundation. We got to take that. We have to take the clinician's guide. It's like we're coming in there ready to battle with our documentation, so they'll believe us that, hey, because, I have a doctor's appointment and I get so sick to my stomach that I've got to explain this all over again, but I have to advocate for not only myself, but for others too, because I want them all to know about it so that they can see it in others and go, I think you may have lipedema or whatever. And, if there's somebody out there that you're just, you're hurting all the time, your legs feel different, your legs are bigger than your abdomen and stuff like that, it's not necessarily anything you've done.
Yeah.
You just got this crap end of the stick of this diagnosis that God decided to sprinkle around to us,
Like, thanks.
Why couldn't he sprinkle some good stuff, instead of something like this, but it's exhausting having to fight for everything.
Yeah.
But it is well worth the fight. And then, find your tribe, I guess you would say, of your, fellow sisters, as we call it, that can relate, that you see eye to eye with, and that they can, lift you up and you can lift them up, and you just be there for one another, because there's good days and there's bad days. And sometimes there's really bad days, and they need to just like smack you and say, get out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just there to make them laugh because they need to laugh that day. And I hope that I'm like that for my friends. And, Sarah is such a dear friend, and I'm so thankful for FDRS, because I was supposed to go in person and she was too. And then at the, kind of last minute, we decided to do it virtually, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that.
Right. So in the midst of all the negative and all the hopelessness and all the dread that comes with lipedema, what is your most positive takeaway with having it?
I am so thankful that I found you and all my other Lippy sisters that I'm friends with. And that's been like the best part of all of this, is that the friendships that I've made along the way, with some absolutely amazing women. I've learned from a lot of them different things that, I can use, or maybe something that I've done or I've said can help someone else, and it's all just this community of women that, we're all different, but we all share this one common thing, and it makes us like this tight-knit little community. So
it does.
And I'm thankful for that.
Well, I'm thankful for you because, prior to this FDRS this year was the first time I had went, and my husband and I were supposed to go in person, and I knew I was supposed to be on virtual, and glad, because we wouldn't have met along with a bunch of the other women that we now speak to. I wouldn't have that. So I'm super thankful for you, because on some of my dark days, you make me laugh and pull me out of it when I just want to pull the sheets over my head and go, forget this day. And I love that you make me laugh. So I'm very appreciative for you.
And I've sang to you too.
You did sing to me when nobody could make me laugh. She sang to me. It was the greatest. And I keep telling her she needs to sell her little singing, like, cheer you up videos, because it would be great. So what was I going to say about FDRS? Oh, I remember just almost like when I got diagnosed, it's been almost 3 years ago when I finally found out my husband's an OT, and he's the one that figured it out. And when I found out, I remember such relief. I had that same relief when I went to FDRS and started talking to other women, because nobody, I'd been researching for 3 years and I didn't know anyone else who had it. And then finding women that had it and they just understood. And you didn't always have to explain yourself. They just got it. And that was like, finally, somebody understands me. And I think it just gives you the hope you need to get through the next day. You're like, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. I can call so-and-so and talk to them and get through the day. So since FDRS, I know that there's a lot of women with lipedema from there that you have started a Facebook group, Lipedema Connection Cafe. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so when we were doing our virtuals on at FDRS, I seen that there were a lot of women that go through this alone and they didn't have anybody to talk to. Just like you were saying, you didn't really know anybody prior to that. And it takes people that are extroverts to make the introverts feel welcome and that sort of thing. So God laid it on my heart that we needed to start this connection cafe so that people could connect and talk, and you can video chat just like we did at FDRS. And sometimes you want to just like, hey, I'm feeling down. I just need to talk to somebody. Or I just got an approval on my surgery and I'm so excited, and my family doesn't understand why I'm so excited about it. And just to have that, or even if, my plant died or whatever, just to pick you up. And that's the whole purpose of the Connection Cafe, is to connect with one another. And we also have a messenger group also, that those that want to participate, you just hit that dial button and it's going to call everybody in there in that chat, and you can video chat at any time. It doesn't have to be scheduled or anything like that. And anybody that is available can hop on, or if you can't, just decline the call. And, maybe next time you need to make that call. So I think it's a good tool to have, that you don't always have the scheduled Zoom, which I love our scheduled Zooms also, because it's a way to connect and catch up and that sort of thing. And usually we'll have topics that we're discussing and all of that. Because, we get lost in our everyday life, and the people surrounding us locally don't always understand, that I can't hardly walk, my knees hurt. And sometimes you just got to have somebody to complain to that understands and not listen to you like, yeah, wah, 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 you're in pain. We know, blah, 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 So, not that my husband or anybody's like that. I mean, he's very understanding. I think you got one of the good ones too, but there are many women out there that don't have that support system, that don't have the spouse or the partner or the significant other or anything like that. And they need the connection to talk to one another, or to have someone there for them that, your local best friend is awesome to talk to, but they may not can relate to one, understanding that your pain or your elbow hurts, and it's from the lipedema, and that's where the Lipedema Connection Cafe comes in.
Yeah, I love it. So go to Facebook, look it up, Lipedema Connection Cafe. Angela will get you approved.
Yes.
And then I do a monthly. So the one with the Connection Cafe, you can hop on a call anytime with anybody when you're struggling. That was the whole point and the vision she had behind that. Then I have a separate monthly Zoom call that I post in there, so you can find it in there. But if you want to be on the email list to get an invitation, you can visit lippychalisa.com or email me at lippychalisa@gmail.com. I can't talk. Either way, go into her group, go into whichever you can get on that. But I think the monthly ones are great, but I think the ones when you can just hop on a call when you're really struggling has been so amazing for people. And I think it just helps people get through the day. And that's the whole point behind it, so you're amazing for doing that. I know, for those that don't know Angela, she's amazing. She has not only does she sing and make you laugh, she has her own shirt printing business and has an amazing line of lipedema shirts and other merchandise. Angela, tell people how they can look that up.
Yes. So on customcruisewear.com, I know it's cruise specific on that, but I could do for anything. I do have lipedema awareness merchandise on there. There's a tab, and it'll show you all the different types of lipedema designs that I have for shirts and tumblers and that sort of thing. And I also have bling shirts too that are awesome.
They're my
Sarah's
favorite.
got one of those. Yes. And they're so like shiny and pretty, and they're different, but they just like shine.
It's my favorite shirt. We were going to wear them for the video, and I'm like, oh no, it's dirty. Like, I need 20 of them, because I think I'm not a blingy person, but that one is so soft. Like, it's not poking you with bling. I love that shirt so much. So please go check them out. and wear them to bring awareness to other people. Because just think about it. Yeah, you know you have it, but maybe you walk past somebody and you have a lipedema shirt on and somebody goes, hey, what is that? That's a way to strike a conversation with somebody.
And I even have one that says, do you have legs like mine?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's talking about lipedema, the disease they cough at, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a way to spark conversation.
Yeah, it is. Angela, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
We have got to get the word out to people and just help them. So if you want to share your story, if you do have lipedema, you already know it and you want to share your story, get a hold of me. If you go through the Facebook group through Angela and you can't remember how to do it, just ask her and she'll tell you how to get in contact with me. But we want to share people's stories because I think stories are super powerful. And you may be sitting there thinking, I'm the only one going through this, but everybody's story is a little bit different and somebody else is going through the same thing. So I am super appreciative of you for sharing.
Thank you. I am appreciative of you too.
Aw, sisters forever, right? Lippy
right.
Sisters forever. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to our next call.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed that podcast. Content on this podcast is for educational purposes only, is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. To learn more about the podcast, visit the website lippychalista.com or email Sarah at lippychalista@gmail.com. She is also a certified life coach and financial coach. For a free consultation, visit the website jacksonlifecoach.com or email her at jacksonlifecoach@gmail.com.